Hello and welcome back to Mysterious Midnight. Tonight, we have some more terrifying woodland horror stories for you all, considering everyone seemed to like the last one. So sit back, relax, and let's get into some more terrifying woodland horror stories. Our first story tonight is called Whispers in the Night. In the heart of a dense forest, where the trees stood like ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of the wilderness, there lay a cabin forgotten by time. Its weathered facade bore the scars of years gone by, its windows shattered and its roof sagging under the weight of neglect. Surrounded by an impenetrable thicket of trees, the cabin seemed to huddle in the shadow of the forest, as if seeking refuge from the darkness that lurked within. A group of 5 friends, weary of the monotony of city life, had set out on a hiking expedition in search of adventure. Drawn by rumors of a mysterious cabin hidden deep within the woods, they stumbled upon it by chance, its presence both eerie and alluring. Ignoring the warnings of their instincts, they decided to make it their home for the weekend, eager to escape the confines of civilization and immerse themselves in the untamed beauty of the forest. As night descended upon the woods, a palpable sense of unease settled over the group. The air was thick with an oppressive stillness, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant cry of a nocturnal creature. Inside the cabin, the flickering light of candles cast long, twisting shadows on the walls, amplifying the sense of foreboding that hung heavy in the air. As they settled in for the night, a strange sound began to drift through the trees, a low, murmuring whisper that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the forest. At first, the friends dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but as the night wore on, the whispers grew louder and more insistent, their words twisted and distorted into an incomprehensible cacophony. Emily, the most adventurous of the group, volunteered to venture outside and gather firewood to replenish the dwindling flames. With a nervous smile, she disappeared into the darkness, her footsteps fading into the night until she was nothing more than a distant memory. Minutes turned into hours, and still, there was no sign of Emily's return. Mark, growing increasingly anxious, set out to search for her, his voice echoing through the trees as he called out her name. But like Emily before him, he too vanished into the depths of the forest, leaving behind only an eerie silence that seemed to swallow the night whole. Panic seized the remaining friends as they realized they were not alone in the woods. With each passing moment, the whispers grew louder and more frenzied, their words taking on a sinister edge that sent shivers down their spines. Trapped inside the cabin, their only hope was to wait out the night and pray for the first light of dawn to break through the darkness. But as the hours dragged on and the whispers grew ever more insistent, they knew that their chances of survival were dwindling with each passing moment. In the end, only one of them would emerge from the cabin alive, their mind fractured by the horrors they had witnessed in the depths of the forest. And as they stumbled out into the cold light of dawn, they knew that they would carry the weight of that fateful night with them for the rest of their days. For in the heart of the woods, where the shadows danced and the whispers never ceased, there lay a darkness more profound than any of them could have ever imagined, a darkness that hungered for their souls and would stop at nothing until it had claimed them all. And so, the cabin in the woods remained a silent sentinel, its secrets buried deep within its walls, waiting patiently for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its doorstep and fall victim to the horrors that lay within. Our second story tonight is called Echoes in the Grove. In the heart of the countryside, nestled amidst a thick canopy of trees, lay the small village of Hollow Grove. Surrounded by dense woodland, the village had long been shrouded in mystery, its past steeped in tales of the supernatural and the unexplained. But none were as chilling as the legend of the haunted grove that lay just beyond its borders. For centuries, the locals had whispered of a cursed grove hidden deep within the woods, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin, and the spirits of the departed roamed free. Few dared to venture into its depths, for those who did were said to never return, their fates unknown to all but the shadows that lurked within. It was into this atmosphere of fear and uncertainty that Sarah and David, a young couple seeking refuge from the chaos of city life, arrived one fateful evening. Drawn by the promise of solitude and tranquility, they rented a quaint cottage on the outskirts of the village, unaware of the darkness that lay just beyond their doorstep. As night fell over Hollow Grove, the air grew heavy with an oppressive stillness, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl or the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Inside their cottage, Sarah and David huddled together by the fire, the warmth of the flames failing to dispel the chill that lingered in the air. But as the hours passed and the darkness deepened, strange phenomena began to occur. Shadows danced along the walls, their movements erratic and unnatural. Whispered voices echoed through the rooms, their words unintelligible yet filled with a sense of malevolence that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. At first, they tried to dismiss the strange occurrences as figments of their imagination, the product of tired minds and overactive nerves. But as the nights wore on and the disturbances grew more frequent, they could no longer deny the truth. They were not alone in the cottage, and whatever dwelled within its walls was not of this world. Desperate for answers, Sarah and David turned to the villagers for help, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. The locals spoke in hushed tones, their eyes filled with fear and superstition, as if afraid to acknowledge the darkness that lurked in their midst. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah delved into the village archives, scouring old records and documents for any mention of the haunted grove. What she discovered sent chills down her spine. A centuries-old curse passed down through generations that spoke of vengeful spirits and unspeakable horrors. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah and David ventured into the woods, their hearts filled with trepidation, yet determined to confront the darkness that threatened to consume them. But as they crossed the threshold into the haunted grove, they realized too late the folly of their actions. For in the heart of the grove, amidst the twisted trees and crumbling gravestones, they encountered a presence more ancient and malevolent than anything they could have ever imagined. And as the shadows closed in around them, they knew that their struggle was far from over, that the true horror of Hollow Grove had only just begun. In the end, only one of them would escape the grove alive, their minds shattered by the horrors they had witnessed. But even as they fled the cursed woods, they could never truly leave behind the darkness that had claimed so many lives before them. For in Hollow Grove, the boundary between the living and the dead was forever blurred, and those who dared to venture into its depths risked losing their souls to the shadows that dwelled within. Our third story tonight is called Shadows Among the Trees. Deep in the heart of the Forest of the Forgotten Souls, where the trees whispered secrets of the past and the shadows danced in the moonlight, lay the village of Everwood. Surrounded by towering pines and ancient oaks, the village had long been steeped in tales of mystery and tragedy, its history intertwined with the dark and the unknown. For generations, the villagers had lived in fear of the forest, its depths rumored to be haunted by the spirits of those who had disappeared within its confines. But none knew the truth of what lay hidden beneath the dense canopy of trees, nor dared to venture too far from the safety of their homes after nightfall. It was into this world of fear and uncertainty that Lily, a young woman with a thirst for adventure, arrived one fateful evening. Drawn by tales of the forest's enigmatic beauty, she had come to Everwood in search of answers to the mysteries that had haunted her dreams since childhood, and to the secrets that lay buried within the shadows of the trees. Determined to uncover the truth, Lily set out into the forest alone, her heart pounding with excitement and apprehension. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the only sound the crunch of her footsteps on the forest floor as she made her way deeper into the woods. As night fell and the shadows lengthened, strange things began to occur. Shapes moved in the darkness, their forms shifting and changing with each passing moment. Whispered voices echoed through the trees, their words lost to the wind yet filled with an otherworldly power that sent shivers down Lily's spine. Undeterred by the eerie atmosphere, Lily pressed on, guided by an unseen force that seemed to pull her ever deeper into the heart of the forest. But as she ventured further from the safety of the village, she could feel the presence of something ancient and malevolent watching her every move, its gaze like ice against her skin. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a clearing bathed in moonlight, its center dominated by a gnarled oak tree whose branches reached out like skeletal fingers grasping at the sky. Beneath its twisted roots lay a forgotten grave, its marker worn with age and weathered by time. Drawing closer, Lily brushed away the dirt and debris to reveal an inscription etched into the stone, a name long since lost to history, its significance known only to the spirits that dwelled within the forest's depths. And as she traced the letters with her fingertips, a chill ran down her spine, for she knew that she had uncovered a truth more terrifying than anything she could have ever imagined. For in the forest of the forgotten souls, the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, and those who dared to venture into its depths risked losing themselves to the darkness that lurked within. And as Lily stood alone in the moonlit clearing, surrounded by the whispers of the past, she knew that she would never be the same again. In the end, she would return to the village a changed woman, her mind haunted by the memories of what she had seen and experienced in the depths of the forest. But even as she tried to leave the darkness behind, she knew that the shadows would always follow her, their presence a constant reminder of the price of curiosity in a world filled with secrets and lies. Our fourth story is called The Shadowstalker. In the heart of the ancient forest, where the trees stood like silent guardians and the moon cast eerie shadows upon the forest floor, there dwelled a malevolent entity known only as the Shadowstalker. Its presence was whispered of in hushed tones by those who dared to speak of it, and its legend was etched into the very fabric of the forest, a tale of darkness and despair that chilled the blood of all who heard it. Sarah, a seasoned traveler with a thirst for adventure, had heard the stories of the Shadowstalker but had dismissed them as nothing more than superstition. Determined to push the boundaries of her own courage, she ventured into the heart of the forest alone, seeking the kind of solitude that only nature could provide. As she made camp in a secluded clearing, Sarah felt a sense of unease settle over her like a heavy blanket. The air seemed charged with an otherworldly energy, and the sounds of the forest took on a sinister edge. But Sarah brushed off her apprehension, chalking it up to the overactive imagination of a weary traveler. As night fell and the forest plunged into darkness, Sarah huddled by the warmth of her campfire, the crackling flames offering little solace against the encroaching shadows. It was then that she felt it, a presence lurking just beyond the edge of her campsite, its dark gaze fixed upon her with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. With a trembling hand, Sarah reached for her flashlight, the beam casting a feeble glow into the darkness beyond, and there, illuminated by the flickering light, she saw it, the Shadowstalker, its form shifting and undulating like smoke in the night. A primal fear gripped Sarah's heart as she stared into the abyssal depths of its eyes, twin pools of darkness that seemed to swallow the very light around them. She knew then that she was facing something beyond comprehension, something ancient and malevolent that had no place in the world of mortals. In a panic, Sarah scrambled to her feet, her pulse pounding in her ears as she fled into the darkness, the sound of the Shadowstalker's unearthly howls echoing in her wake. Branches clawed at her skin, roots snaked out from the forest floor to trip her, but still she pressed on, driven by a fear unlike any she had ever known. But no matter how fast she ran, the Shadowstalker was always there, a looming presence at the edge of her vision, its dark form twisting and contorting with each step she took. And as the night wore on and exhaustion threatened to consume her, Sarah knew that she could not outrun the darkness that lurked in the heart of the forest. With one final burst of desperate energy, Sarah stumbled into a small clearing, her chest heaving with exertion as she collapsed to the ground. And there, beneath the cold light of the moon, she awaited her fate, knowing that the Shadowstalker would not rest until it had claimed her soul as its own. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the forest fell silent once more, its secrets shrouded in darkness, its horrors waiting patiently for the next unsuspecting victim to wander into its grasp. Our fifth story is called The Curse of Blackwood Manor. Deep within the heart of the ancient forest, where the trees loomed like silent sentinels and the moon cast an eerie glow upon the tangled undergrowth, stood Blackwood Manor, a crumbling testament to a bygone era, its walls steeped in legend and shadow. For centuries, tales of the manor's dark history had echoed through the surrounding woods, whispered by those who dared to speak its name. They spoke of a curse that had befallen the land, a curse born of greed and betrayal, that had claimed the lives of all who dared to call Blackwood Manor home. But as the years passed, and the manor fell into disrepair, the truth behind the curse became lost to time, a dark and twisted secret buried within the depths of its decaying halls. It was into this world of mystery and intrigue that Dr. Emily Harris ventured, a seasoned paranormal investigator with a thirst for knowledge and a curiosity that knew no bounds. Drawn by the allure of the unknown, she assembled a team of experts, a group of brave souls willing to risk everything in search of the truth. As they made their way through the dense forest, the air grew thick with anticipation, each step bringing them closer to the looming silhouette of Blackwood Manor. The surrounding woods seemed to pulse with a palpable energy, as if the very trees themselves were alive with the whispers of centuries past. As they approached the manor's crumbling gates, a sense of foreboding washed over them, their hearts pounding in their chests with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. But Dr. Harris remained undeterred, her eyes alight with a fierce determination to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the manor's decaying walls. With a final glance at her team, Dr. Harris pushed open the rusted gates and stepped into the darkness beyond, her flashlight cutting through the gloom like a beacon of hope in a sea of despair. And as they crossed the threshold into Blackwood Manor, they knew that they were about to embark on a journey that would test their courage and resilience to the limit. Little did they know that the true horrors of Blackwood Manor had yet to reveal themselves, and that the curse that had plagued the land for centuries would stop at nothing to claim their souls as its own. As Dr. Emily Harris and her team stepped over the threshold of Blackwood Manor, they were immediately enveloped in a suffocating darkness that seemed to cling to the air like a heavy shroud. The grand foyer stretched out before them, its once opulent furnishings now reduced to dust and decay. Undeterred by the oppressive atmosphere, Dr. Harris led her team deeper into the manor, their footsteps echoing off the walls like whispers from the past. Each room they entered revealed new mysteries and untold horrors, as if the very walls of the manor held the secrets of centuries within their crumbling embrace. But it was the hidden chamber concealed behind a tapestry on the upper level that held the greatest promise and the greatest danger. As they pushed open the heavy wooden door and stepped into the darkness beyond, a sense of foreboding washed over them like a tidal wave. Inside the chamber, they found themselves surrounded by ancient artifacts and arcane symbols, each one pulsing with a dark energy that seemed to seep into their very bones. Dr. Harris studied the artifacts with a mixture of fascination and trepidation, her mind racing with the possibilities of what they might uncover. But as they delved deeper into the chamber, a chill wind whispered through the corridors, carrying with it the faint echo of anguished cries. Shadows danced along the walls, their movements fluid and unnatural, as if guided by unseen hands. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the chamber. Before they could react, a shadowy figure materialized from the darkness, a spectral apparition with hollow eyes that bore into their souls with an intensity that sent a chill down their spines. With a blood-curdling scream, the team turned to flee, but the chamber seemed to shift and warp around them, its walls closing in with an otherworldly force. Panic set in as they realized that they were trapped, caught in the clutches of the curse that had plagued Blackwood Manor for centuries. Desperate to escape, Dr. Harris reached for the artifacts lining the walls, hoping to find a way to break the curse that held them captive. But as her fingers closed around a strange amulet, a blinding light erupted from its surface, engulfing the chamber in an ethereal glow. In that moment of blinding brilliance, the true nature of the curse was revealed, a dark pact forged with unspeakable forces, binding the spirits of the manor to its crumbling halls for all eternity. And as the light faded and the chamber fell silent once more, Dr. Harris knew that they had uncovered a truth far more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. With a deafening roar, the chamber collapsed in on itself, consuming the team in a maelstrom of darkness and despair. And as the dust settled and the echoes of their screams faded into the ether, Blackwood Manor stood silent once more, its secrets buried beneath the weight of its own cursed history. As the dust settled and the echoes of their screams faded into the ether, Dr. Emily Harris and her team found themselves in a realm of darkness and despair unlike anything they had ever known. The chamber had collapsed around them, leaving them trapped in a labyrinth of twisted corridors and shifting shadows. Desperate to find a way out, Dr. Harris and her team searched frantically for an escape. their hearts pounding in their chests with a mixture of fear and determination. But with each passing moment, the darkness seemed to close in around them, suffocating them with its oppressive weight. Suddenly, a glimmer of light pierced the darkness, a faint flicker of hope in the blackness that surrounded them. With renewed resolve, they followed the light, their footsteps echoing off the walls as they raced toward freedom. But as they reached the source of the light, they found themselves confronted by a towering figure cloaked in shadow, a specter of pure malevolence that seemed to radiate darkness from every pore. It was the embodiment of the curse that had plagued Blackwood Manor for centuries, a force of darkness and despair that would stop at nothing to claim their souls as its own. With a defiant cry, Dr. Harris confronted the specter, her eyes ablaze with a fierce determination to break the curse once and for all. Drawing upon every ounce of strength and courage within her, she unleashed a wave of pure energy that engulfed the specter in a blinding light. For a moment, the chamber was bathed in brilliance, the darkness banished by the power of Dr. Harris's will. And in that moment of triumph, she knew that they had finally broken the curse that had held Blackwood Manor in its grip for so long. As the light faded and the darkness retreated, Dr. Harris and her team found themselves standing once more in the grand foyer of Blackwood Manor. The air was heavy with the weight of their ordeal, but they knew that they had emerged victorious against the forces of darkness that had threatened to consume them. With a sense of relief and gratitude, they made their way out of the manor and into the light of day, leaving behind the shadows and secrets that had haunted Blackwood Manor for centuries. And as they disappeared into the forest, the manor stood silent once more, its cursed history finally laid to rest. But deep within its decaying halls, whispers of the past lingered still, a reminder of the darkness that had once ruled over Blackwood Manor and the brave souls who had dared to defy it.